Hello everyone, I was looking forward to editing and publishing some games, and all of a sudden something bigger happens. Parallax Tide is banned. This will not shock most of you, as you already know, so I want to talk about that. I think this ban is understandable to some degree, but it was not strictly necessary. Even more importantly, it's not about the decision, I repeat myself, it's understandable. It's about the context and the reasoning behind it. I'm going to explain why I'm deeply disappointed. I'm going to be outspoken about this. There are many reasons why I'm disappointed. So I'll start from the surface and I'll go deeper and deeper, and it only gets worse. So first of all, there's the most superficial, most basic level, what the card actually does. The problem with Parallax Tide, the official reasoning, is that exiling lands was originally meant to be temporary in the card's design. As it stands, it becomes too strong because of Seal of Cleansing and Chain of Vapor. These are cards you would play anyway, and they are already good on their own. Okay, that's fine. And of course, this is the kind of interaction that can eventually push a combo deck toward a ban, because you're combining the consistency of staple cards with a very high ceiling, permanently removing lands, maybe even bouncing the opponent's strongest permanent with Chain of Vapor. Yeah, that might be a little bit too much, but at the end of the day, it's still a combo, and it's still a 4 mana card. And most decks had counterplay available. And if the criterion is the strongest card must be banned, then we'll never stop banning things. Because there will always be synergistic cards that rise to the top, so more bans. I mean, what are we going to expect? So there's another level, the precedent. Obviously, banning cards pushes pre-modern dangerously closer to other formats in terms of not being a closed format anymore. After all this time playing pre-modern, I think it's a bit too late to suddenly realize Parallax Tide deserves a ban. In my view, a ban should only be used when it's the only solution. In this case, I think the solution was simply for players to learn how to play against the card. Instead, we get a nice ban just like in Standard or Commander. Players now have to rethink their decks all over again. In the worst case, they can't even play the deck they just bought, maybe spending good money on cards that were rising in price. All of this in a context where card prices have skyrocketed, partly because there are more pre-modern players, but also because of aggressive speculation. And if anything, this is a message to speculators. The good part, and what I really like about this ban, is that this is a strong message to speculators. This is like, hey, stop, you're not going to take an easy win ever again. This is the part I like. I'm going to say this again. But let me say something more, and correct me if I'm wrong. As far as I know, there wasn't even a scheduled Banlist update today. Other formats at least have a calendar. This ban came out of nowhere, basically after a month of contraption leaks. Was there really such overwhelming dominance? It didn't seem like it. All of this can be very harmful for a format. Then the third level, the metagame was fantastic. Tons of different decks. We were nowhere near a stale environment. I was looking at the German Nationals deck lists. The winner, surprisingly, was a blue-white-green Miracle Grow deck. The top 8 had 8 different archetypes. And week after week, many different decks were putting up results, and it wasn't the picture of a metagame in such dire condition that it required such a drastic intervention. Sometimes I've seen people cite a tournament, I think in Spain, where many decks in the top 32 were playing Parallax Tide, but that was an isolated case. Fourth level, as I said before, pre-modern is no longer an eternal format. This isn't a small adjustment, it's a major shakeup. This means all the testing people have done basically goes out of the window, and one of the strengths of this format was giving players time to learn and understand it deeply over the years. Apparently, not anymore. So it completely changes the kind of player this format now caters to. And the fifth level, the deeper, we've always said this is the player's format, that there's no governing body making decisions, it's a community format, there are more and more players, and are we really sure that the players agree with this ban? The majority, I mean. Personally, I own almost none of these cards from those decks that basically got banned, but I strongly disagree with the decision. And if you look at some of my older videos, I've spoken against bans in general for the same reasons I'm explaining today. So the real question is, was this done with the players' opinions in mind? Maybe not through formal representation, but at least by gauging the general sentiment somehow? If the answer is yes, then I can accept the decision more calmly. But I think many people will end up reconsidering, if not outright regretting, this choice. Is this it for Premodern? No, I don't think so. This is still a great format with great cards, and it gives you a great feeling anyway. But in conclusion, I'm very disappointed by this decision. Again, the decision itself may have some foundation, but I think all the issues I have outlined are far worse than having to play against very strong cards. Maybe borderline, but not so extreme as to require an action like this. At this point, what should we expect going forward? Obviously, everyone will now be looking at Enchantress, maybe even wondering whether it could be the next card on the chopping block. I don't think anyone truly knows what will happen to the metagame. In the end, this whole situation might even turn out to be an improvement for the format. The point is, I seriously doubt anyone has actually tested the new environment in any meaningful, in-depth way. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching and see you soon.